everybody, how you going? This is a little story about my journey of self-discovery over the last year or so, especially in the last couple of months. And originally I had all these notes written out and I was going to read from them, but as fate may have it, I left it outside and a gust of wind blew it off, so I've got to do this all off the top of my tongue, off the top of my head. And I thought, what a bit of time to do it, and a beautiful sunset going on in the background there. So there we go. Let me just tell you a bit about myself and a little bit of background, starting off from when I was a kid. I always had this feeling growing up that there was this connection between everything. I didn't know what it was or understand it, but it just felt like there was something I didn't understand and couldn't quite grasp. But there were just too many coincidences and things like that that happened from a really early age that just couldn't make sense unless there was something out there that made sense of it all. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. Like, I used to wake up all the time. I'd look at the clock and it'd be 3:14. I'd see it all the time. And it was just something I accepted. I didn't really think too much about it. And the other thing that used to happen was I never got really worried about if a difficult problem came along or some hardship in my life. I never really got too stressed out about it, because for some reason every time I needed the solution to the problem, it would just come about and it would happen, and the problem would be taken care of, and it just happened all the time, just constantly. I just accepted that was the way it was. And look, skip forward a little bit to about 5 years ago. That's when things started changing for me. I had a very successful job, a six-figure salary job, which I've been in for 10 years. I had a partner of 20 years. We lived on the northern beaches together with our pet dog in a 2-story, 5-bedroom house on the northern beaches. I had $120,000 in the bank, and life was pretty good. But I was missing something, and I went out looking for it. And what I found was a world of pain. Wasn't expecting what happened. And this is not something I've really spoken too much about with anybody. But so I went from all that, and 2 years ago I was broke. I had gone from $120,000 in the bank to a $60,000 debt. I had a meth addiction. I lost my job. And a very successful DJ career I had was just starting to crumble. And then music was my life, it really was. And one day I went to go and get some music off my hard drive, and it had stopped working, and I thought, well, no problem. I back up all my stuff, and I did. Everything was backed up apart from that hard drive. The hard drive with all my music, 10 years of all my music. That was really just my passion, my soul, everything about me was that music, and it had gone. And I hit rock bottom, I really did. I was at a point where I had absolutely no money left. And I also remember it being one of the best days of my life, because I realized at that point I was still here, and I'd made it to that point, and I wasn't dead, and I was still here, and that meant from then on things could only get better. If I'd survived that, and things couldn't get worse, things could only get better. And I started believing that, and it did. Now, the other interesting thing during that period of time was that all that good luck that I'd seemed to have about things just falling into place when they needed to. Didn't happen anymore. Completely gone out of my life. I was thinking, it'll be alright. When I've been in a situation like this before, something's happened and it's got me out of it, and it didn't. And those numbers, the 314 that I used to see, gone as well. And I knew it was weird because it had been with me all my life, and for some reason it just completely disappeared, and I didn't think anything of it. And if you're like me, and you've been seeing these patterns everywhere, so if you're seeing 111, 333, 444, 222, 434, 314, whatever it is, trust me, they really do mean something really fucking powerful, right? And it will change your life once you understand it. It really does. For the better in so many ways, not just for yourself, but for everybody around you. So let me try and, if that's got you interested, because if you're one of these ones that's waking up at 111 or 2, or you're seeing these numbers and this resonates with you, stick around, because if you haven't made that connection, maybe I can help you, because it will change your life. It really will. So there I was at rock bottom, and I hadn't been speaking to my family. I was embarrassed about my drug addiction, and just really found it difficult to talk to any of my family about it. So I just shut them out of my life. And on the day that I finally decided to move forward with my life, something remarkable happened. I rang up my brother on the phone, and because I hadn't spoken to him for such a long time, and I just needed to reconnect. And as I was driving along in the car, and I remember my brother going, "Oh my God, it's 314," and I just went, "What? Why did you say that? Why did you say 314?" And he goes, "Why? Because 314 is something I see everywhere." And I thought, "You're kidding me, right? That can't be possible." And I said, "Listen, this is so weird, but I used to see 314 everywhere, and I haven't seen it for the last couple of years until I've just spoken to you. And then you've mentioned that to me, that you've got that same connection that I do." And then he turned around and he said, "Well, it's not just me, it's my daughter as well." In fact, my brother and his daughter had the numbers 314 tattooed on their ankles. And it was at that point I realised that there was something really special about these numbers for myself and my brother and his daughter, my niece. And I guess that's where the sort of journey started for me. And there were other things as well that happened to me during that period. I had to reflect on myself about a certain aspect of myself that I didn't really like, and that was the validation that I needed. Because my previous partner that I've been with for 20 years, we were really just good mates, and it wasn't really a loving relationship, so there wasn't much emotional connection or anything like that. Just good friends. In fact, we didn't even share the same bed. So this is back in the days when Facebook came along, and I suddenly got validation in the form of a like, and I got addicted to it big time. I really did. I'd be on it constantly. I'd add anybody that wanted to be a friend just because just a little like made me feel better about myself. And I got addicted to Facebook because of that. It made me feel like somebody that I wasn't feeling like inside. Somebody that wasn't really confident in themselves. Didn't think themselves worthy of anything, I guess. And I had to get pointed out to me that I really did have this problem with Facebook. And someone said, "Well, listen, it is not such a big deal for you. But do you know this person here on Facebook that you got as a friend? Delete them." I was like, "I can't do that, then I get upset." "Does it matter? You don't know them." And I really struggled with it for a while. I just thought, oh, I can't do that. I might offend somebody if I unfriend them. They might think I'm a terrible person. And until I got to the point where I realised that I really did have this validation problem. And it made me become really self-aware of myself. And some of the things that I was doing in my life to get that validation. It was a really powerful, reflective thing. And once that sort of opened up, it made me start to see a whole lot of other things about myself that I really didn't like. One of the most important things, I think, apart from that happened to me was I had a car accident at the time, about 3 years ago. I tore all the tendons in my elbow, right arm over here. And I was in a brace for 9 months. Now, if anybody knows what I used to look like, I was about 125 kilograms of muscle, and that was just hiding all my insecurities. Hidden below a ginormous layer of muscle. And I look back at those photos and I'm impressed by the size I got to, but I know what was in the head of that person, and it wasn't pretty. It really wasn't. So 9 months in a cast, without being able to go to the gym, which had been something of my daily routine. And the first time I went out to the clubs, I had a panic attack. I just thought, oh my God, what are people going to think of me? They're going to look at me and go, oh my God, he's lost so much weight. What's wrong with me? Some drugs? I just thought all these negative thoughts. And I was like, got to get out of here. I can't deal with this. I really couldn't deal with it. I managed to convince to stay, and probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, because a very powerful thing happened. The exact opposite of what I was expecting happened, and that was everybody came up and said, oh my God, you look amazing. I was really worried about you when you were so big before. I thought you were going to die from a heart attack. You really didn't look healthy, but you look fucking fantastic now. Complete opposite of what I was expecting everyone to say. And at that very moment, the switch clicked in my head. This is like I was 50 years old at this time. And a little switch clicked in my head and went, you know what, for 50 years of your life, you're being putting so much pressure on yourself about the way you look and have to look for everybody else out there. And nobody else out there gives a shit. You're the only one that's putting that pressure on yourself. And today, look, I don't train as much, but I am so happy with the way I am right now. I'm happy with the way I look, and it shows. It's such a difference being around other people where I'm not worried about offending anybody by the way I look, or what I look like, or my size, or anything like that, because I'm just me and I'm happy as I am, absolutely so fucking happy. That was very important things that happened to me, as well as hitting the rock bottom. Because once I hit that rock bottom and I thought things can only go up from here, they did. And it was because of that positive mind change that things started happening. So as I said, first thing I did when I decided to get out of that situation that was keeping me there, down to this bottom, was to call my brother, have that connection with the 314. I then got myself a new apartment and had some money come into my life. And the day that I moved into that apartment, the hard drive that I had with all the music that I lost, I thought to myself, if I ever get any money back in my life, the first thing I'm going to do is send it off to get checked and to see if that music can be recovered. And I'd already had that sent off when the money came in. And the news wasn't good. It said that it was very likely that the discs had been destroyed, but there was no way to telling if that had occurred until they opened it up. But the only way they could do that was to have another case to put it into, which were very rare for that particular hardware. It was quite old, so they had to search the world for one. to put it into, and even then there was no guarantee that it was ever going to work. But I just told him to go ahead and do it. And just after I'd signed the contract to get my keys for the new place and start my new life, geez, I'm gonna cry. I got a call from the people, and they told me that, hey, guess what? Your hard drive. We got all the music. We can drop it off for you right now. So that very day, my life started turning around again, and the music came back to me. Pretty powerful stuff, eh? Yeah. Sorry. Wasn't only things like that, other sort of things of impossibility. I was doing Uber driving to try and make a bit of cash, and I remember picking up a group of guys one night, and we had, I was driving back to their place. They'd been out drinking for the night, and the car that I was driving had the Apple AirPlay in it. One of the guys asked if he could put on some of his music from his iPhone to listen to. So I said, sure, no problem, go ahead. And these guys are in their early 20s, and he put on all this old classic Aussie rock. It was INXS and AC/DC, stuff from my era. Not something I'd expecting a group of 20-year-olds to be rocking the guts out of it in the car. Anyway, it was a really fucking cool drive. Everybody's singing and fist pumping and stuff like that. And then this guy turns around and he says to me, I am going to play the best song ever. And he put this song on, and I burst into tears while I'm driving the car. And they're like, Mr. Uber driver, what's the matter with you? And I said, the guy had put on John Farnham's You're the Voice, right? And that might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it did to me. I just looked down at the dashboard and noticed it had turned midnight on Father's Day. And that song was my father's funeral song. And what are the chances of that, right? Any fucking song that could have been played at that very time, and it was my dad's funeral song. Very powerful message. And it made me start remembering this connection that I had, where I thought everything in the world has some sort of connection. And it made me go searching for it again, because I'd lost it. I really had. If you've got that feeling, don't dismiss it, okay? Go do what you can to follow it up. Just Google it. Just Google what you're feeling. No doubt there'll be somebody else out there that's also had that same feeling as you, and like myself, have suddenly got the answers that they've been wanting for all that time. So I moved into my new place, and had a friend over, and we were having a chat, and I was telling them about this connection that I had with 314, and how I'd rediscovered it with my brother. And as I was telling this, I was like, oh, look at the time, it's 11:34, and just kept on happening throughout the day. And he said to me finally, like, have you ever actually tried to figure out what it means? And I sat there and I realised I hadn't, which is a really peculiar thing. So he said, well, let's see what we can find out. So he typed into Google meaning of 314, and it was popping things up like Bible verses, bus routes, plane parts, car makes, all sorts of things. Nothing that even seemed close or resonated to what I felt with these numbers. And then I realised that the meaning of 314 wasn't really what I was searching for. What I wanted to know was, this is what I typed into Google, seeing 314 everywhere. And that changed my life. Because the answer to what I wanted popped up on the screen. It came up, angel number 314. It told me what, I'm not going to go through it here, but it told me, because everybody's got their own different angel number. means different things to different people. But that 314 changed my life. It told me that I had the strength within myself to go on from where I'd been from and to go on to bigger and better things. And just knowing that there was this connection that I had with the 314 and what it meant to me was such a huge part of the journey that's gone on from there. Shortly after all this had happened, I moved up to the Gold Coast. Well, I actually only came up here to go and visit my mother and my twin brother, because this was during COVID when it had first started, and I wasn't even really seriously thinking about moving up to the Gold Coast until I got up here and realised there wasn't really anything in Sydney holding me there. I didn't have a job there anymore, didn't have a boyfriend, didn't have anything really down there. So I started looking at places up here, and I remember walking into this place where I am right now, and going, wow, this is it, this is the place for me. It just resonated with me so strongly. And as soon as I sort of felt that, I got out onto the main balcony which overlooks the beach here, and a whale jumped out of the water, and I was like, Mum, because my mum was there and the rest of the family. I said, Mum, look, it's a whale, there's got to be a sign, I've got to buy this place. And I hadn't even, like I said, really been thinking about it. It was just really sort of like window shopping. And it just hit me at that moment that something felt so right with it. Something really connected with me, and just made me realise it was the right decision for me at that point of my life. And I did, and honestly, I couldn't have been happier that I made that decision. I had so many questions about myself coming up here, like would I be able to get a job, would I be able to make friends, would I like it up here, all those sort of things, because they're all unknown, they're all things that hold you back, all fear and stuff like that. But when you've got a feeling about something that you know is right, because it just feels right, just put it there in your heart and believe in it, okay? Because you're a lot stronger and a lot smarter than you realise. So that's where my life started to repair itself. I started reconnecting with nature again, getting back out there, taking the photographs and all that sort of stuff, and really just appreciating everything that this world gives us. We're just so lucky, really are, to live in such a beautiful, wonderful place. And I started seeing that the numbers 314 more and more. And I guess another couple of things really interesting happened over the last couple of weeks that really sped things up for me. One was that my debts from Sydney hadn't really been cleared up, and there was still things going on from down there, messed up shit that I had to take care of. And I realised that to get on top of everything, I was going to have to sell this place. It was just a really tough decision to have to think that after a year of thinking I've got my life back on track, that I needed to make another such life-changing decision again. But for some reason, once again, I knew that that's what I needed to do. I could see the bigger picture that once I did that, I knew the value of the property had gone up here quite substantially in the time that I moved up here. I got really lucky with the place that I bought. And I realised that there were other good properties out there which I could then get rid of all the debts and stuff that I had still lingering around me, buy a new place and still have plenty of money left over for investing in other things and really start building my life. And that's exactly what happened. I sold this place for $120,000 more than what I bought it for last year, and found another place just down the road, which is just as good, even better in some ways as this one, for about $150,000 left. So it's been a really profitable thing for me to do, and something I knew that I had to do. It just felt like it was the right thing to do. And once again, this was another place where I walked into and instantly felt that connection. Once again, my mum was there, and we walked out in the balcony in this place as well. And another whale jumps out of the water. I was like, Mum, look, there's that whale again. It's that sign. It's telling me to buy this place. And no sooner had I said that, my mum turned around, and this whale, another second whale, about 500 meters from shore, really, really close, just went, jumped out of the water, said, listen, just now, buy this place. So I went ahead and did that. And that's when just all the things that needed to start fitting into place to make sense of everything that's happened in my life fall into place. And it came really quickly. So, if you're watching this and all this sort of information is feeling like it's resonating with you, go out there and go and check things for yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but if you've got a question on your mind, like what do these numbers mean, or whatever, and you haven't actually gone out and tried to find the answer for it, go and do it, because there'll be someone else out there like myself that has. And when you go and start going down this rabbit hole, I guess, of connecting everything, it's really beautiful. It is so beautiful. So let me go on from there. So I bought this place, and my niece and my brother just started seeing this number 314 more and more as well. And this about 2 weeks ago, something really quite profound happened, where the number of coincidences on one particular day were just so astronomical that the chances of them ever occurring were practically none. So first thing that happened was I had a friend down in Sydney that I promised if he ever went to go for bail to get out on parole, that I'd be the surety to pay for the bail. And that was fine at the time when I promised that to him. But since then, after moving up here to the Gold Coast and having that debt, it was not something I could have done for him. His lawyers at the time had decided not to go ahead with it. And it's only recently that my friend got some new lawyers. They rang me up on a Monday about 2 weeks ago and said, listen, your friend said that last time you promised that you could help be the surety for his bail to get him out of parole. And if they had have asked me the day before, I couldn't have done it because I didn't have the money. That day, by some pure, remarkable chance, I actually had money in my account for the first time where I could actually help him. And if the money had to come the next day, it wouldn't have helped, because it would have been too late for the bail application. So the money had to be in my account on that day, and it was. It hadn't been there for the previous year, and that particular day when it needed to be there, it was there. The next funny thing that happened after that was as part of the application that I had to write for being a reasonable person, was I had to put down my mate's birthday number, and I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. I knew that it was he'd turned 40 last year, and it was around the end of May or start of June or something. So I couldn't remember exactly what it was. So I typed into this internet age calculator how old he would be if I put in a certain date. So I put in 1st June 1980, hit enter, and what popped up on the screen was just too freaky for words. It came up and said 41 years, 3 months, 11 days, 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 42 seconds. It was 1 second off from being 43 seconds. So nothing but 3 ones and 4s in it. And the thing is, I didn't even get the right date for my friend's birthday. It was just this odd random date that I typed in that happened at that very second to bring up an almost perfect 413 number. Just as I said that, a rainbow lorikeet landed on the balcony right behind me and started squawking. And that was another thing that I always used to associate with my dad, rainbows. One of his other funeral songs was the Rainbow Connection, so that rainbows always tell me my dad's there. And it was this sort of rainbow lorikeet squawking on the balcony just as this had happened. And I was just like, hey, that's my dad sending me a message saying something big's coming. Just after that, my niece sent me this photo. See, me and my brother and I used to have this little group called 314. We just see it so much, we just have a sort of joke about seeing it and post things in there all the time. She sent this picture of a clock that she found on eBay, which had date, time, month, year, and all that sort of stuff. And it was 14.1 degrees, 13th of the 11th. It was just, every number on there was 3 1s and 4s. So my 314s and her 314s, and this other impossibility, that was already enough to get me going. What the hell is going on here? Next thing that happened was that when I first arrived here last year, up on the Gold Coast, I hadn't had a job for 2 years, and I was really starting to get down. And I ran into a guy online who I'd been speaking to, who had also knew about angel numbers and stuff like that, and just suggested that I have go into this little group which help people try and manifest things. And they all believed in like the angel numbers and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I'll go in there and give it a go. So I went into this group and I said, hey people, how you going? Listen, I really need some help here, some positive thoughts. I haven't had a job for 2 years. I'm going for an interview later today, and I could really use some positive energy, please. So I got all these people sending me positive energy, and I was told, listen, just keep on telling yourself, I'm going to get this job. Just keep repeating it to yourself until you believe it. I just thought it sounded really crazy, but I did it, and I got the job. The person who I'm speaking about knows who this is, and I thank them so much because they made such a big difference to my life. So that was when I started realising the power that positive thinking has. And the reason why none of that good luck had been there with me for the last couple of years, because my head was in such a negative space. Now the next thing that happened on this particular day was that this guy that I'd spoken to, the one that had sort of pointed me in the right direction to get me the job, had sent me a message. And it's been months since I've heard from him. And he messaged on the same day when all this other stuff had happened. And I was still thinking at this point, this is all just crazy coincidence. So, of course, we'd spoken about the angel numbers before and all that sort of stuff, and I just sort of rabbiting on, going, hey, look, this has been a really amazing day, 314 everywhere. And he just said, look, I think you understand it all now, that it's not just something that's in your head, it exists. I think go out there and start looking for it, you're going to discover it. And I just started thinking, wow, maybe he's right. Maybe there is more to everything that we're thinking of than what we actually see around us. And I started looking into it, and you know what? If you go down this sort of journey as well, you're going to find something really beautiful. The world is made for love, okay? Not hate. If you go out there, you put love out to everybody, you put kindness, you treat people with respect, you look after them, and just be nice and just get rid of all that negative emotion. You know what? The most powerful thing you can actually do is forgive, right? And just let go of everything negative. When you understand just how powerful that is, and you start feeling the effects of it, where just putting out all this positive energy just brings that back into your life. Trust me, it is just it's just something that you wish that this is what everybody was taught in school. This is what everybody is here on the earth to help each other. Right? That's what COVID's taught us. Hey, that we've got to look out for our neighbours because nobody else is. When you start working together with other people, when you stop expecting something, when you just do things for others just because it's the right thing to do, really powerful things happen. Right? And if you can spread that word from one person to another, you know what? You just finally realise that if you just let go of all that hate and that negative thoughts and all that stuff that eats you up every day, and just concentrate on being good and kind and spreading love, that you'll realise the world is capable of doing anything. If people just would see just how much better the world would be if everybody stopped hating each other, if everybody stopped looking at some person or group or religion or whatever and thinking less of them because of that. Because you know what? We are all the same. We're all made of stardust. There's nothing different between any of us, right? When you realise that connection, I'm stardust and you're stardust and everything is that connection. And you get out there and walk along the sand of the beach and feel the grass under your toes, and just realise that you're all connected to it. You'll feel that connection really, really quickly, because you're looking for it. If you've got those positive thoughts and if you've got that desire to see that connection, you will see it. And trust me, it will change your life. It really will. It's changed mine. And I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not. The people who know me think religion's a crock of shit, right? But I had the most powerful spiritual awakening I've ever had. And look, I don't believe in God, but now I believe that whatever you want to call a God, there is this thing that connects us. This energy. If you want to call it God, that's fine. And you know, the Bible's not really that stupid after all. It's just got all this good stuff in there to really to put you on the straight and narrow. But really, if you look at the fundamentals of it, it's all about being kind to each other, being love. That's the word that the Bible's about. I'm not religious, right? People concentrate on too much on the negative side of it, like dirty, selfish, and no gay sex and all that sort of stuff. That's not what it's about, everybody. Right? That's not. That's exactly the opposite of what it's all about. Just try it for a week. Just try and spend a day without thinking a negative thought, and write it all down. Just all the things you're grateful for. Just let the world know. Just go out there on your balcony one night and just say thank you, Will, for look, this beautiful sunset. And you'll suddenly start feeling that connection. And when you do, right, we're just a magnet, okay? So for energies. That's what everything is in the universe, energy. Right? And we're just magnets for it and receptors. So whatever we put out, we bring back in. So if you're sitting there and going, it's not fair that that person over there is getting everything they ever wanted. I'm sitting here working my butt off and I'm not getting anywhere. That's because that's what you're thinking, right? You're thinking you're not getting anywhere. You know, if you just forgot about comparing yourself to somebody else and just appreciated where you are now and where you're going, you're going to find your life changes, because you're going to start feeling like, oh, I'm so thankful for what I've got right now. And the more positive energy you put out, and the more positive energy you get back. And trust me, I've seen this in such a short time. And it's really one of the most powerful, liberating things you'll ever happen to you. This great awakening where all that stress that you had, it just suddenly melts away, because you don't have to worry about them things anymore. Like bad things are going to happen. You know what? You look back on it and you realise they were just little. They had to happen, right, in your life for a reason. And you'll look back on things when they were tough and realise, you know what? Guess how much I learned from that. Guess how much I came out a stronger person. I had to hit rock bottom. Right? I had nothing. And now I've got my dream job. I've got this beautiful place. And I've totally turned my world around. And it's all because I just got my mind out of that negative space that I was in and started thinking positive. And you'll just find that once you do that, everything good starts happening. It really does. And you know what, you're probably sitting here and going, listen, I don't believe any of that, it doesn't make sense. If you go on thinking like that, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. But if maybe any of this sort of resonated a bit with you, maybe if you've felt those feelings and just never understood them, and you want to figure out if what I'm saying is true, go look for it. Just be kind, spread love, be grateful, be thankful, just be happy, and because your life will be amazing. You'll just accomplish so much, and people will see that, right? You will be amazed at what you're attracting to your life, because of that positive energies just attract positive energies in, and it'll take your breath away. It really does. I have met, in the last couple of weeks, I have met most amazing people that have also had this awakening. And look, like I said, I'm not a spiritual person, so look, all I'm going to say is love life, okay? Because that's just beautiful. And I'm so lucky that I'm here after the few years of hell that I went through to be here and appreciate this. And I hope that this little message of hope and love that I'm putting out in the world can do big things for other people that it did for me. Okay, so look, love you all. And if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. And I hope some of the words that I've said have given you a little bit of hope and a little bit of happiness. And I hope for some that it may even turn their lives around like it did for me. And I wish you all the best. Bye.